All right, I've got the stock squad in the green room. We're going to bring them out here in a moment to take some reactions on this incredible move that Meta and Microsoft had. A true surprise, a huge beat. I'm going to go over that here with you guys. Revenue on Meta was up 16%, showing strong ad demand, absolutely rebounding. And then the earnings per share, $6.43 versus 4.71 year over year, a huge profit jump. Meta's AI usage was showing 1 billion monthly users. Huge adoption in a very short amount of time, putting them into true contendership with Google and ChatGPT. The CapEx spend was raised. I was a little uncertain how the market might respond to that because I have felt that they wanted to see these companies produce revenues based on CapEx spend, but it didn't slow them down at all. They're pouring money into AI infrastructure. And the final icing on the cake, which I would actually say this was a gold standard earnings event, was that they actually raised their forward guidance, which was a huge surprise going into the end of this year. Now, I'm going to cover Microsoft here as well in just a minute, but Meta is the one that truly was a huge event for today. Absolute surprise. We're going to bring the guys on for a reaction. Right before we get going, hit the like for me. We're going to, wrestle the question, can AI push through recession fears and recession macro events? In particular, the GDP came in bad today. And I think that if there wasn't an up surprise on Meta and Microsoft, we would be in free fall tomorrow. And so it appears at the time being that AI has balanced the scales. Let's get the stock squad in here. The guys, welcome to the show, Larry, Keenan, and Mo. Thank you guys for joining me today. I'm going to kick things off. Mo, if you would like to lead us off, and I'd love to get your reaction to Meta and to Microsoft, and specifically with that bad GDP, was today's earnings, could it offset and continue offset that negative macro environment, and can we continue to push higher from here?
I don't know. I got to say this. I didn't see horrible GDP today. What I saw was 40-something% additional imports, which is a negative calculation on the overall GDP, which I'm going to go out and help everyone. For those who don't know, I used to teach statistics and some other crazy math stuff. So what happened is you had all these companies, these major companies, going ahead and forward loading all their inventory. Tons and tons and tons of inventory because they knew the tariffs were coming, just like a good business would do. So much so that, as you can see, we have 7 weeks of full inventory left. They have time to go. So they loaded up 40% to 50% more in Q1 than they normally do. Well, for figuring out the GDP on the overall economy, that is a part of the equation which is extremely negative. So the higher the imports, it draws down that GDP by a rough tune. I believe they were saying an estimate of 5% drag. Now, take that out of the equation. What were you left with that GDP report? Consumers spent more. A lot of the positive numbers were way higher than expectations. I loaded up. I saw something different from an old math standard that we were going to make bank. I bought options. I bought the plays. Loaded up $100,000 worth of 2 stocks. I see everything, I guess, with what do they say? The rainbow glasses where everything looks bright and the unicorns are
rose-colored
original
glasses.
Skittles out. Rose-colored. That's it. Help me out. And here's the deal. It's already starting to happen. Retail starts to sell. They hear nothing but, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The bottom number was a negative GDP. Go through each part of that calculation, see which numbers actually make sense, and understand this. I'll help you out for the next equation. If we had monster imports coming in this quarter 1, to make GDP go way down, and now we're hearing 30 to 40% less imports than normal for Q2 already, what happens to GDP as spending stays high and imports drop? It's going to go through the roof when they report it in Q3. I'm going to give you a little tip. Make money with it. Make money with it. NVIDIA, huge play, was one of my $50,000 plays. Love it. It is up 4-point-something% in the after hours. I was already up money before. Let's go. Let's just roll it in. Get rich slow with Mo technique here. So I hope you all are making money. Josh, thank you so much for having me back on. I always love talking shop with the guys. And I know in a couple of weeks, we'll be rolling the dice in Vegas together. So looking forward to that.
Thank you, Mo. I appreciate that. Yeah. So, I've been consistently saying that the risk was on the bears because after we got oversold, we've been slowly chopping higher. But personally, now I'm just going to say from my point of view that GDP being flat, right? The market didn't respond to it, right? And it was probably the first sign of recession getting near us. And I understand what you're saying regarding the imports and the exports currently. But that was the first real sign I think that any of us have seen of a slowdown. But interestingly, we also saw inflation coming down, and the thought of Goldilocks popped back into my head for just one brief moment when inflation was down. The only thing that upset the apple cart was the perspective of growth slowing down the way that it did. And yet both of these companies, major heavy hitters, have given better forward guidance, which also was a surprise that they didn't kind of point down the road that things might get soft. Larry, I'm curious your thoughts. What did you think of the news surrounding both Microsoft and Meta?
Hey, the news is Microsoft, as we speak, is up 5.43% in the aftermarket. Microsoft is up 7, was up 9. And let me tell you this, guys, right now, to Mo's point, the NASDAQ in the pre-markets right now is up 237%, and the Dow is up 120% after this negative GDP. So that's what I think about it. What I think about it is I didn't sell anything. We got inflation, stagflation, and recession talks that are here. It's what you focus on. I've been telling people for the last couple of days that we got to see what's going on. Sometimes you got to zoom out, right? The president had all of these major companies today at the White House pledging hundreds of billions of dollars because of the report card of the first 100 days. And so that has something to do. He had to combat what's going on. And just like Mo said, I had a HVAC done here today. I got a new furnace, new concrete, I had everything happening around here. Why? To beat the tariffs, just like other businesses, right? And so the GDP numbers are skewed because everybody was stockpiling, right? So now we really got to see what next quarter GDP is, because therein lies the reality. But forward guidance, Josh, forward guidance is all I've been listening to. We saw what happened at Tesla. They tanked down 71%. It was a horrible earnings. And what happened? Tesla went up. Why? They didn't give financial forward guidance, but he gave forward guidance according to what he was going to do. I'm going to spend less time with Doge. I'm going to spend more time with Tesla. That was his forward guidance. And then what? The stock took off. So these companies done well, beat, and they're giving positive forward guidance. So that's why I believe the markets are doing what they're doing.
Thank you, Larry. So I'm going to say it. I've been saying it for quite a while. I don't believe there's any stopping this market until we get to a minimum of 570, if not 575. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have pullbacks and rocky days, because there's so much turmoil and unresolved issues in the market. We are steadily, the VIX is cooling off. And tomorrow we're going to take another step down closer to that 20 level. And beneath 20, the market can actually go into full-blown rally mode. The investor sentiment will shift and we can go higher. I do believe, though, and I've been saying this just as well for the last couple of weeks, that we would go higher. I believe that the real battle is going to be fought at 570 to 575, where the market could eventually lose steam. To even get there, we needed earnings like we got today, and we also need some deals put on the table by President Trump. Now, he's said, I think I heard it reported on CNBC, and I bet Larry was watching it as well, that, the India deal is almost worked out. They've got, I forget which deals, Larry. What deals have been actually concluded?
It was a couple of countries. India, I can't think of them.
Was it England that already had a deal worked out? I know Israel has a deal worked out.
Yes, that was Israel was one of the first to have a deal worked out.
Yeah, so they're not announcing these in single pieces. They're obviously waiting for a sort of a bigger shock and awe moment, which could possibly pump the market. I don't know. There's been a lot of timing of the market recently. Maybe Keenan might have some thoughts on that. But the bottom line is, at today, it's definitely a win for the bulls going into tomorrow. And I think as I've been saying, the bears are bearing more risk right now than the bulls are. Would have liked to have loaded up on more, but I'm going through this season a little bit more cautiously. Now, Mo hit it on the head. He's like, I'm dropping 6 figures here, taking bold decisions. And I would agree, if you are willing to take that kind of a risk, tomorrow's going to be a huge payday. I've really largely been nibbling with a pretty strong confidence that we're going to get up to that 570. Larry almost baited me into shifting my focus to talk about Tesla. And Larry, I'm going to get back to that Tesla conversation because I think Tesla's got room. It's got some room to run ahead of us. And I think people got too bearish on it. I'm going to ask all of you guys to share a play that will do well. Maybe not Meta and Microsoft. We've seen them hit their targets maybe tonight. Maybe they'll go higher. But if you've got a play that you think would run in sympathy with them, we're going to come back around. But before we get into that round of questioning, Keenan, what are your thoughts on how Meta did? I know you've talked, I've watched your show, and I know that you have talked a lot about Meta in recent days and in the past. What are your thoughts on what happened today?
Let me know if you can hear me well. If you can't, then, let me know.
We got
I wanted to say to everyone, Meta is, in my opinion, the best bounce back stock on the market. Obviously, there are some other good ones, but Meta has consistently dropped it like it was hot and then bounced all the way back up to hit new all-time highs. One of my most viewed videos, I was speaking on how a billionaire's losses are going to be our gains. Mark Zuckerberg had like $130 billion. It crashed all the way down to Meta's price going from about 400 all the way down to about 100. The haters, the naysayers, the doubters, Keenan, oh, look at you. You said Meta will be a buy at 150 and it's now it's $100. It's still a buy. And look at it now, all the way up at $530. Meta is a good company, but it suffers from politics. However, they often shift what they will do in accordance to who was in office. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to kind of stay with the times. And this time it's really working out in their favor. But here's the big thing about Meta I want everybody to know. Why is it such a bounce back stock? It's because they are not afraid to try to do the next big thing. So if I was to hear that Tesla, like you all have heard, is working on robots, humanoid robots that can not just be an AI, but actually be a robot that can do physical work, and that's really working out for Tesla, Meta is going to come right behind them and do it too. The same way that when the metaverse and cryptocurrencies and such got really, really hot and they started to invest a lot into the metaverse, and then you saw them lose all this money on the metaverse, they're trying to do the next big thing. Now artificial intelligence is that next big thing, and they're investing extremely heavily into that. And it's actually helping their company become more efficient, even in light of all of the tariffs going on that's interacting with the overall broad market. So I was saying when you see Meta under $400, just load up on it. That's what I've been saying for time and time again. Like Josh just said, it hit the low 500s. I'm loading up again. It dropped even lower. Keenan, I just bought something at 500. Listen, this is a long-term stock. I'm buying it again and again. But to get to your other question, me and Larry were having a talk basically at length about this, of how so many people are so interested in the next hype stock that they're missing out on the bangers in front of them, like a Microsoft, right? You missing out on Microsoft. How easy is that to make money on? Now, everybody in the chat, I want to give you some homework real quick, right? Go and tell me, if you got Robinhood, this would be especially easy. What is the percent return on Microsoft in the last 5 years? What is the percent return on Microsoft in the last 5 years? I'm gonna look that up myself really quickly. And I'm telling you this, whatever hype stock that you might have got in, or whatever kind of stock that might have gone up and went down and gone up and went down, Microsoft is one of those stocks that you could really and truly set it and forget it. It's up 140%. And that's if you only bought it once. If you DCA'd, you'd be up about 200 or 300%. So I say that to say, imagine that. You put $1 in and now you got $3, you be up 300%. You put $1, you see what I'm saying? Now you got 240. It's so easy to make money with the companies who have good fundamentals. And Microsoft is one of those companies who got one of the best fundamentals of any company that ever existed. And I'll tell you why. When you think about fundamentals of a company, you're thinking about what money do they bring in, and then what money do they get to keep. With artificial intelligence, all of these major tech stocks, they're laying off engineers like you wouldn't believe. And the biggest expense of most companies is the payroll, is the overhead. And now they're drastically reducing it, but they're still drawing in the same amount of money, if not more money. So since we see that, we can see Microsoft is going to be a banger from here on. We can see that Meta is going to be a banger from here on. And it doesn't mean that they won't come back down. They will. But they do give you a chance to get in low. It's less of a risk than when you're trying to get into the next hype stock. But again, I ain't got nothing against hype stocks. But some of you guys really need to go a little more risk off than you are already on. So some people are 100% risk on, and I want to just encourage you to take some of the risk off of the table so you can get your mind into the game correctly. Because if you all the way risk on, 1 bad trade, 2 bad trade, 3 bad trade, you out the game. So with that being said, I want to give you a stock to look at. And one of them I'm looking at is actually not just NVIDIA, not Meta, not just Microsoft. However, they are really good. AMD is one that I want you to watch out for as well. If you could see that, especially when I see it, and you might not get the chance, but in the 70s, I really like it there. If I ever saw it in the 50s, I would wonder, first of all, why is it in the 50s? And if nothing fundamentally has changed, then I would definitely buy it there. But even at 99 in the 2-digit range, I'm okay with nibbling on some AMD. And that's one of the reasons why I had loaded up on that one just recently.
Hey, Josh,
I love it. I love it.
Josh, can I answer a question whenever you yield the floor to me?
Absolutely. I'm going to come right to you in just a second. But I got to thank Keenan Grace for the very generous $100 super chat, $99.99. Thanks for having us on, Josh. I see the KGU family in the chat. Let's go. Thank you, Keenan. Very, very generous of you. Appreciate all of these guys. Larry, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to let you speak. And then, Mo, I'm going to come to you with this question. Mo, just like Keenan dropped some AMD, and actually I like AMD quite a bit. I could see it getting back to 140 in the right circumstances. And, you know, if you have loaded up on NVIDIA, I still see NVIDIA's earnings are ahead of us, and I see opportunity there. I gave a minimum target of 120, but in my opinion, if that AMD, you know, it's sort of in that sympathy path. So that's a little bit more of a beaten down underdog, but I love them and the opportunity that they have. Go ahead real quick, Larry, and then I'm going to come to you, Mo, with your potential pick on tomorrow in light of this AI success. Larry, you're up.
I'm answering Big G. I don't know if you can see Big G. Big G asked this question, and he said, I just want to say something, guys. Josh and Larry, when should we buy when the S&P dropped to 48.35 and the VIX spiked up to 60? I mean, that was a great opportunity to buy, but why are you guys so bearish? So please, guys, leave me a coffee cup if I have been saying till I'm blue in the face that I was buying VUG, I was buying QQQ, I was buying Granny Strat, and I was showing where I was buying when the market is falling. Number one, I've never been overly bearish. I'm not overly bearish. I will tell you the good news and the bad news, but I look for the bull in the bull. Let me say that again. I look for the bull in the bull. So I look for a bull market where I can get in while all of the bull, you know what else is going on. So I always look for opportunity. And so yes, when I've been showing you guys even here on the live, that 200-day moving average, it's just certain things like Keenan says, you don't even have to think about it. All you got to do is trust the process. I even made a video called Trust the Process, meaning here's where we buy while the market is coming down. So, and Josh has been doing the same thing. So you know, when we are together, he's done the same thing, showing where to buy. So leave me a coffee cup if you've heard any of us say these are the buy zones. So when any of us come and give you some bearish news, we have to give you the bearish news. But what I like about these three gentlemen and myself, we also show you where the opportunity is. I yield the floor.
Thank you, Larry. Hey, guys, all of these fine gentlemen are leading YouTube finance guys. They each have their own channel. And I know that that seems strange for me to say, but there might be a couple people that had not met them yet. So go over to Stock Up with Larry Jones page, Stock Mo's page, and Keenan Grace's page and subscribe. I'm going to take a brief moment. Together, collectively, we have a Discord called the Stock Squad. It's the only top link in the description of this video. If you want to check that out, that's a place where you can get a little taste of each of us providing trade alerts, market overviews, and things that we're buying. All right, I'm going to head over to Mo. And Mo, you kind of made mention of this, but I wonder if you could just recap. So tomorrow in the morning, I think we're going to see some follow through. The market's going to be kind of probably drifting higher. We might hit some higher highs tomorrow. What if you didn't catch the Microsoft or Meta rocket, where would you turn with a little bit of money to invest?
Oh, I'll tell you what, it depends though, Josh. Are you feeling like casino night, or are you looking for your QQQ or SPY and you just don't want to deal with it? If you're feeling a little bit of interest and you want to try to get a big bang for your buck, watch out. I have a couple of plays I'll bring to you. One, you got to ask yourself, read through all the fog of war here. Is the economy strong? Yes or no? I think in the prior time I was just here talking here, I think the answer is yes. Consumers continue to spend like drunken sailors. I love it. Unemployment is still in the low 4s. I love it. Folks, as long as those two things stay like that, we're okay. And for the most part, I believe we're going to stay like that. If the tariff war drags on past the end of May into June, possibly even further, they run out of inventory by the end of June. Then you're going to see markets absolutely tumble. I don't think we get to that point. I think they were strategic in their 90-day reprieve to most countries with tariffs because they knew what the inventory was, they knew how long it was going to last, and they knew they had to get most of it done by then to keep the shelves packed. So add all that together, everything I've talked about previously here, and it gets us down to a couple of facts. One, I don't think it's as bad as what the news is. They want you to click. They put out the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Clickbait, baby. That's what sells. And they're giving it to you. Retail selling. The big money billionaires and millionaires saw the dip today, read through the lines like most people who study this stuff, and bought it up to positive territory. And then tomorrow we're smoking higher. Yeah. So where do we go? Well, for those who like the risk, I got two plays here I'm going to talk about. One, I'm already loaded to the gills with NVDA. NVIDIA is a beautiful, beautiful one. And two, for those who like a little bit of risk, I'll throw it up there. FNGA, the old FNGU is now FNGA. That should be skyrocketing from here tomorrow. What is that, Mo? Triple leverage, baby. High risk, not a long term. You want to play this as careful as you can, but made up of CrowdStrike, Microsoft, Alphabet, Netflix, Amazon, NVIDIA, ServiceNow, Meta, and Broadcom, and Apple. 10 fantastic companies. And that gives you the opportunity to take the risk. If you want, that risk is not for everyone. It could drop 50 to 100% if we are wrong and the markets tank. But if we are right, the markets go up nicely, 5, 10, 15%. You're looking at 15, 30, 45%. Now, for those who just want a straight play, I'll tell you the one I like right now. Love it. Buying it, on it. Can't really see it. SoFi. I love SoFi. You guys know I used to talk about SoFi all the time, and it's doing well. Record net revenue, 772 mil. Record members. We have product growth. Net income of 71 million. Net income, not net loss, net income. And of course, if you look at the graph, I don't know if this will pop up right. Let's see. Boom. That little red candle right there, little red one right there, teasing the 50 EMA. So we broke up, we reversed nicely up, retest as normal on the 50 EMA, and I'm expecting a nice little run with this as we go forward. So I like SoFi. I'm also, believe it or not, I like the risky plays, but that's up to each person. And if you just like the straight stocks, I like Amazon, I like NVIDIA, I like SoFi. And of course, if you want to take that risk, FNGA.
Great picks, Mo. I don't know if this is a serious comment, but Leroy says, is Stockmo and Tribal the same guy? And the answer to that is we've got Mo. We've got Mo and Kiwi Mo. That's all we got. Okay. All right. I'm gonna jump into the charts briefly, and I'm gonna talk to you about a play that I like both for tomorrow, and earnings are ahead of it, closer to NVIDIA's earnings, which are the end of May. And I think this is a play that could actually have a nice little move tomorrow. It's sort of an AI play, and I think if Meta and Microsoft are telling us that there's still growth in big tech, this is one that I like at these levels. Today, it reclaimed the 20 after hours. It reclaimed the 20 EMA, which typically is a buy signal. And I'm not telling you this is a clean shot up. I would have tight stop losses in anything I do, but I'm going to show you Meta and Microsoft's chart briefly and make a comment there. And then I'm going to give you a pick of my own. And we're going to circle back and we're going to have some conversation about crypto right now. But let me just take you guys into the charts. So right here, well, you already got a sneak peek at it. So before earnings, nobody loves my technicals more than me. Before earnings, I predicted that we would if we crossed above 552, that we would hit 580. And man, look at that. Go watch my video. Dear Lord, near perfect analysis. Okay, but I made a point in the video and I want to make it here because it's pretty significant. This is what I want you guys to watch for tomorrow. You guys can see that we have a consistent downtrend at hand. We come back to this candle right here. The tippy top of this is 633.33. We check this one out and we're at 633.88, right? So this is a double top. Now each of these is making a lower high, okay? Today we are still under the shadow of previous highs. The last high that we made was right here at 588.98, okay? So today, even though this is a glorious, beautiful after hours move up to 582, very, very respectable, until we break above this previous high, we're actually still in a downtrend, which means unless we get above 588.98, so we'll call it 589, that means that the stock is at risk that if it were to slow down and begin to lose these key levels again, it means that we could go on to make a lower low. That's the way it works. Now, I'm not predicting it. I'm just emphasizing how extremely important it is that this rally doesn't end shy of beating the top of this current candle. We have to beat that tomorrow. If we do, I think everybody should take a sigh of relief and go, wow, this thing could really stick. We are in significant breakout mode because the next high that we would potentially get to with Meta would be all the way up here at 631. But that is not on the table unless we get above 689. I want to briefly talk about Microsoft. Microsoft is actually doing a little bit better than I expected. So significant shelf of resistance right here with a triple top. Bam, 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 defeated, right? So if we open tomorrow above 420, it means that the next potential zone that we could hit would be all the way up here at 446. And I think that, again, that the market is in full-blown rally mode if Microsoft gets back above 450. And so as long as we can hold 420 by the end of this week on Microsoft, then I think that 450 is a realistic target. And I'm going to say this about Meta. If we can get above 590 by the end of this week, then 631 is a realistic target. All right, those are your technicals. Let's take a quick peek at shop chart. This is sort of a AI story that I don't think has fully flexed yet. It's been screaming higher. We consolidated around $83 here beautifully for a while. We've had a huge leap forward. The MACD is cooling off, and so I really like this with the time that we have between now and earnings, which is, let me give you the exact date of earnings, May 8th. So not too far away. Any pullback on this whatsoever, I really like it for a potential move up to 102.50. And the trigger for that, so you guys can hear me correctly, I don't want to hear in the comments, oh, Josh told me to buy shop because he said it was going up. The trigger for that up move is a cross above this $97. And personally, I'm going to be watching this one tomorrow morning because we had a nice reaction to the AI earnings. And I think that if we get above 97, this thing could trend nicely over the next till the end of the week, and we could hit 102.50. That's my big play. Let me just take a step back. I'm going to bring the guys back on. Let me know in the comments what you think of those technicals and Shopify recommendation. We got Jose Guevara in the house, and this is a guy that is building his wealth slowly over time. I appreciate everybody I saw. I saw Investing with Ashley in here today. She's a fellow YouTuber and a friend of all of ours.
Hey, little sis.
Yep. So let's take a shift here, guys, and let's talk a little bit about crypto. I want to get that in. So here's the bottom line for me on crypto. Any day that we hold above 90K, we're still in a bull trend, okay? And as the market's slowly building, crypto is holding at a pretty nice level. I would say that we are, just like I said with big tech, we're nowhere near the bottoms that we had here April 7th to April 9th. The majority of them got oversold 23 days since then, and the market is significantly higher. And here's the big news, both for stocks and crypto. We have the opportunity for surprise bullish catalysts at any given moment, which would be the trade deals getting worked out. Now, has Bitcoin been a precursor and a front runner of big tech and AI, kind of telling us that there's a little bit more of a risk on attitude right now? I've been saying it, and I'm going to say it 3 times in this video today. The risk is on the bears right now. It has been ever since big tech got oversold. So on that note, Larry, I'm going to come back to you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know that you have been steadily buying crypto in the downturn, and I think, I think Larry and I kind of on the same page. I'll just be straight with you. I haven't been a big dipper. I've been a little nibbler, okay? I've been cautiously bullish, but like Warren Buffett, and I got to take some cues from one of the top dogs. He's one of the few mega billionaires that are actually he's gone up in value rather than losing value. Mark Zuckerberg has lost billions while Warren Buffett has gained 22 billion in the last year. And so for me, that's looked like moderating position size. Having said that, I'm nibbling. Larry, what are your thoughts on crypto right now? You going to get any more bullish because of this AI event?
I wouldn't say more bullish, but April 22nd, when I see candles like this, like you said, I'm just still in, and it could fall long as it's above 87 for me. You said 90, 87, long as it's above 85, should I say, for me, Bitcoin, I'm still in the game. So there's a lot of things that's happening behind the scenes. And I know we always say this time is not different or this time is different. Actually, with Bitcoin, this time is different with the institutional buy-in. Not all crypto, I'm just talking about Bitcoin. Now, I still buy daily, When we went down to 76, I said I was buying. When we went down to 74, I said I was buying. And I dollar cost average at a bigger amount. And when we are beneath 84, I doubled down in those ranges. Now that we're up, I actually lessen, or I buy smaller amounts by half. And I just keep doing this during this whole cycle. When it goes below a level, I double down and get greedier as it gets cheaper. And as it comes back up higher, I actually buy less, not to deplete all my dry powder. And it's been working good for me. I shared my portfolio the other day on my page. But here's what I will say, and I'll say it boldly. I'm not overly bullish, because when Bitcoin hits above that psychological level, like I said here before, 110, it doesn't have to hit 114, 116, Josh. 110, the crowd, the herd will come. And when the herd comes, when it hits 110, of course, everybody's going to say, oh, it's going to 200. And that's when it's going to push up. And that's when Larry is going to set all of his stop losses. The only thing I'm keeping is the Bitcoin that I bought at 18, 20, and 24. And I'm putting a stop loss on everything. And then I'm going to buy back in after the dip. So I believe that we're still green light with crypto, and that's why I'm buying it. So I'm actually not bearish with crypto at all. I'm bullish, but I'm bullish long term. And I still believe if we have a super cycle that we could see probably 130 Bitcoin this year. But Josh, you and I may differ about how low it's going to go in crypto winter. That's a whole nother show.
All right, excellent. So I'm going to go through and get the other guys' opinion. I think that the market is slowly creeping out of bear territory. And by the time retail wakes up and realizes, I still believe, as I've predicted on my show, that we would be moving higher between now and June, which means really largely the entire month of May, just getting higher and higher and higher. And it's about that time that people begin to lose their fear, because CNBC and the pundits only talk about the bull side. Tom Lee's on every other day. And it's around that time that I believe that we still have problems in this market. And I think that even with good catalysts, which could push us all the way up to 575 on the SPY and see companies like NVIDIA above 120, even with good catalysts, we do still have problems. And I believe that there's going to be stealth selling, right? When you get up to that level, that's called classic distribution. And I've said that through the middle of summer, we're going to move sideways, right? There's still going to be companies peaking out, but mostly there's going to be some solid distribution. I believe that we're still in the upturn. As we get to the end of summer, we're going to begin to see some signs of early weakness, and we're going to begin to see some stocks nosediving. And I do believe that in 2025, and we still have the opportunity of making lower lows. However, if you're, if you wait to get to that moment later in this year to hope for that lower low, obviously you're going to be feeling a lot of FOMO as the markets are testing highs. As right now, Meta and Microsoft have been like rockets. And so if you're sitting on cash, you're going to get more and more anxious as each day goes by, as we get closer and closer to 575. And it appears as if we go all the way back up to the top, and it appears like we're largely V-shaping. It's going to be hard to sit on the sidelines. That's when some folks will get sucked back in to begin to buy more heavy, while I'm saying that we will largely be in distribution mode. And as we move towards October of 2025, I see us going back and testing the lows. What am I largely representing? I'm representing 2025 as being a massive struggle between the bulls and the bears. And as we get and retest the lows in October of 2025, from that point after we hit them, again, retail will be panic selling, thinking that it's an absolute Armageddon and that we're going to go down 30, 40, 50% when we probably aren't. I largely believe that from October's lows forward, we're simply going to go back up all the way to the end of the year and be back in a point where people are talking about Christmas rally again. What does that story largely say? It says that it's not going to get too bearish. It's not going to get too bullish. And most of the people that are willing to take some risk and buy the dip will probably do pretty well in 2025. Now, I repeat that because it's an opportunity for getting a reaction from these guys. And I'm going to swing over to Keenan and get your reaction on what I shared. How realistic is that in your mind, or do you have a different prediction for the fam?
In terms of crypto, I want everybody to know this. If you think back every crypto cycle, or even every time when crypto was absolutely on fire, when you start to hear your barbers, your hairdressers, the people at the doctor's office, your grandmas talking about go and buy this crypto, it's usually a sign that we are at the top. And this exact thing just recently happened. People are telling you their co-workers, if you heard anything about crypto at work when it was on fire, say yes in the chat. And if it slowed down now that it's not on fire anymore, definitely say yes in the chat. Because so many people were telling me that they were hearing go and buy XRP at the very top versus listening to people who say, hey, allow it to come down and buy it. Bitcoin all the way at 110 there. They're buying it there rather than letting it come down. The FOMO, you know, everybody has FOMO when you're starting to hear it at your job. Family, cousin Ray, who never talk about anything related to money, is telling you to get into Bitcoin, everything. So those are the signs. When you hear everybody quiet about it, that's another sign. That's why I've been loading up now on XRP. That's why I've been loading up now on Bitcoin. But I've not just been loading up in terms of buying it wherever I see it. I want to encourage everybody who's here to use limit orders. A limit order is when you go and look at the charts, you see a price that you like, you set it, and you let it go. For example, Bitcoin is at 94,000 right now. Let's say that I go and look at the chart and I see that it often comes down to like 89,000. And I would be comfortable holding it there long term. So I would set a limit order and then go and touch the grass. I would go about my day. But remember, if you've never heard of what this is, it's called using a limit order. Often when you go and buy stocks, you might be using a market order, which means you're willing to pay whatever the market is going to sell it to you for right now. But I want to encourage you to use a limit order and then use the charts in conjunction with your limit orders to pick a price when you want to go and get it. When you hear things on like Larry Jones is live, Mo is live, Keenan is live, Josh is live, or all of us together, the Stock Squad, and we're talking about, hey, I like Meta when it's $4.99, right? Write these things down. And then you go do your own chart work and your own research and you say, yeah, I'm willing to set a limit order there. And if it doesn't fill, then you go and reassess over time. But that's how you're going to get the best prices, by using these limit orders and then not just listening to everybody when they're saying go and buy it at work. When they cut it out and when they stop talking about it, that's when you need to go and buy it. This is why those of you who got Fidelity accounts, I got a Fidelity account. I got all of the accounts, Moomoo, Webull, Public, everyone, Robinhood, I got everyone. But the Fidelity account, it doesn't really change in the after hours. I can see what Robinhood changes in the after hours. I can see what Moomoo changes in the after hours, all of that. But my Fidelity account, I cannot wait to see when the market opens up what it's going to look like with all of the Amazon that I bought, with all of the Microsoft that I bought, with all of the VOO that I bought. Just the market just pumped up. But guess what? I didn't just buy it today. I had to hold my nose and go and buy it when everybody else was telling me, oh man, you're crazy for buying this here. You're crazy. I think to myself, hey, I would like this here. Therefore, I'm okay with the price. I like it here. Even if it does come down lower, I might like it more. So I want to give you guys another tool, right? And if you're still on this, trading with Ashley or investing with Ashley, if you're still on, this is a courtesy of you. If you want to buy 100 shares of anything, especially at the current price that you see it right now, don't be so afraid that you won't sell a put option. So you can collect the premium on it. And if you get filled, you are going to buy 100 shares of this company anyway. So for example, there's a lot of people who wanted to buy into SoFi, let's say at $10. If SoFi was $10 and you liked the price there, and then you went and sold a put option, you'd be able to collect that premium. And if you got filled, you would have your 100 shares and the premium. So it's a way to get some added extra cash, actual cash, on top of the shares that you were already going to buy. So just look into those things, limit orders, and then selling put options to enter into a position and also collect premium. These are just like things that I want you to have homework with as you go on your journey. And I yield the floor.
Keenan's trying to help everybody who's in this investing game. People are in different levels. One of the levels that you end up getting to is making some money selling your options and collecting premiums, sort of like renting out your shares. As you begin to build your bag, that's a less risky way to make money and to get money out of Wall Street. So I appreciate you sharing that, Keenan. Very good advice. Now, I'm going to turn to Mo, get some thoughts on crypto, and then we're going to circle around and talk about Amazon before we close up this show. I'm going to give you some fresh technical view. I think you'll like what I see in the charts. It's pointing to a nice opportunity set up for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Amazon's earnings. And so we're going to see what the charts are telling us here in just a minute. Mo, what are your thoughts on crypto? Is there, I always like when I push everybody here a little bit, and I know you guys are all willing, but tell me what you bought last.
What I bought last?
Yes.
I buy all the time. Today, I bought a couple $1,000s worth of XRP on the dip, and it ripped right back up. I'll put it bluntly to you, I have over 700,000 worth of crypto now. I'm very close to being a crypto millionaire, and I've been buying on major red days and enjoying the green. Overall, I absolutely love my crypto portfolio, made up of basically 3 six-figure positions. I think one is obviously on my head, XRP, and that's close to my Ethereum position. And my largest position, I call it the foundation, is Bitcoin, of course. Bitcoin is probably about twice the positions I have of Ethereum and twice the position I have of XRP. And then I have a good amount of US-based cryptos that I've discussed on the channel. I also have the ETF application crypto portfolio that I started because I believe as old Uncle Paulie Atkins gets started, you're going to see a lot of these ETF spot applications getting approved. I'm not talking future. I'm not talking leverage. I'm talking spot ETF. Let's get the demand rolling. Let's get the hedgies involved. And as we get it, so it's beautiful out there, you're going to see a lot of running. Bitcoin, of course, is the granddaddy of them all. If that thing fails, we all fail. It doesn't matter what you're in. I don't care how much you love, what hat you got on. If Bitcoin fails, they all fail. Here's the deal. It's not going to fail, and it's going to do extremely well. Yeah, there's going to be resistance points, and you can take profit at that point. And if you have FOMO tops, definitely, like Larry says, the biggest, best tool ever invented, that stop order, man, that limit order. Let's go. Save the profits. Lock them in. I agree 100%. But we're not at that point. And I think you're going to see quite a few things. One, here we have 4 rate cuts, if not more, priced into the market for the next, we got probably most likely July, September, October, December. It might start in July. It might start in June. I doubt it, but it might. Once the Fed starts cutting rates, money gets cheap. A lot of money flows into the riskier assets, such as crypto. Every time we normally see rate cuts, crypto skyrockets. Second, you got the spot ETFs all over the place. And I got a lot of those applications in holdings of spot already. So I'm loving that. That should be able to set up for some really good things. And then, of course, how about zero capital gains on US-based cryptos? That'd be beautiful. And, you know, when you see the leader of the US with over $100 million in crypto exposure in those companies he's a part of, it kind of makes me feel warm and fuzzy that they're going to come out with some positive press as we go forward regarding crypto. And so I like the big dogs. I like the big dogs. Not going out on a limb here. I don't think I have to. I think the overall industry for crypto in general is risky. And my goal was to become a crypto millionaire in 2025. I believe that's going to happen by the end of this year. I believe most likely Q4 is going to be an absolute smoke show of a run. I think people are going to FOMO in. I think it's going to be crazy. I don't think that happens yet, though. So for everybody waiting and like, where's it at? Where's it at? I told everybody before the election in October, look at all my videos. You want to make money, you get into crypto before the election. You got XRP, even at right now, up 4 times your money. You had Bitcoin skyrocket, Ethereum skyrocket, HBAR, which I made a ton on, took the profit, that skyrocketed. It's all about timing. And like Larry said, you got to know when to take some profits out of that. And if you're doing that the right way, you're watching these things, you got Bitcoin above the 50 EMA in a nice consolidation zone right now. You realize what most likely will happen, barring any wars or extreme tariff battles and comments out there and tweets and all that good stuff. But I believe the good things will start to roll in, most likely July, August forward. So I am in a phase of accumulation right now. And as we get through that and I start to see some of the issues such as the tariffs, and we're waiting for the rate cuts and the quantitative easing from the balance roll-off, all those start to come in halfway through the year forward, you're going to see crypto explode compared to the first half.
Love it. Thank you, Mo. All right, we're going to take a step back. I have to give a small little request of Larry Jones. There was a gentleman here that was mentioning Bonk, and he said, guys, Bonk's up 75%. He says, I know it's a meme coin, but hey, Bonk is up 75% on the month. Not bad. Larry, I was not going to dive into individual coins, but I just thought, why don't you comment on Bonk and some of your expectations or targets for it? And then we're going to move forward on Amazon here in just a minute. I'll be running some technicals, and then I'll start with you, Keenan.
I got back in about a month ago on my Bonk, and my family know it in the money moves. And I got back in again when things flush down. And when they flush down so much, of course, the meme coins flush more than the altcoins, and the altcoins flush more than Bitcoin. I just saw opportunity, and I got back in, and I'm up that entire month actually. And now I'm going to be engaging my stop losses again, but I'm holding. And I'm just like Mo. I don't want to just be a crypto millionaire. I want to be a Bitcoin millionaire. And then the rest is gravy on the top. I simply use meme coins to fuel my altcoins. And I simply use altcoins to fuel my Bitcoin. That's my strategy. I haven't changed. I've been direct with it. And, I coined the phrase in the fastest moving car as it pertains to crypto.
No, Larry, I stole that from you, man. Nobody knows that you are the originator.
But you use it wisely.
It is Larry's. It is Larry's.
Because, that's what got me into this. You guys know I made $250,000 with Shiba Inu, for those of you that don't know, right? And what did I do with that money? It fueled my Bitcoin. That's what it did. So when that cycle went over and the next cycle started, and when I started buying at 20, and when Josh said 18 is where I see a bottom, let's buy. Actually, I was using some of that money to buy more Bitcoin. Okay. So I made over 800% on that, way over that, actually, over 800%. And so that's my, you know what, I'm going to just cut right here and just say this. Good people, you got to have a strategy. Okay.
Oh, I love it, Larry.
You just got to have a strategy. If you're buying and you don't know what your out is, if you're just buying and you don't know what your long strategy is, then you're just a boat in an ocean with nowhere to go. If you have a strategy and you look at it and you understand crypto and you understand the cycles, you understand the halvings, you know when to buy, you know when to sell, you gotta have a strategy, right? And then what's your end goal? I want enough Bitcoin for me, my kids now, and my grandkids. And I clearly see it. So just have a strategy with it, good people. Don't say, I'm just going to buy and I don't know. Don't be buying and you don't know where we are in the cycle. Don't be buying if you think this bull run is going to just continue for the next 4 years and there's no crypto winter. And if you say, what is crypto winter? Then you shouldn't even be buying crypto. All right. So I'm just going to leave it right there. On a later one, I'll just talk about some stock that I think are good stock to be prepared to buy now before the Fed start cutting.
Thank you,
Hey,
Larry,
Josh,
for that.
I got some
And
closing words I just want to give everybody really quickly, if you don't mind.
go ahead,
And
Keenan.
it's very simply is this. Do not be afraid to average up. This means feed your winners, not your losers. I've seen wise professional traders talk about how average everyday Joes and rookies never feed their winners. Their winners are small. They won't buy more of them. What they do is they get married to their average. I just checked. I was up like 800% on Bitcoin. Now I'm up 400% and close to 300%. Why? Because I was willing to buy more. But the percentage looks different. Who wouldn't want to be up 800% when you could be up that much on your Bitcoin? But think about this. Would you rather be up 800% of the money you have or 10% of the money Warren Buffett has? And the reason I bring this up to you is because if we multiplied your money by 8, it wouldn't be $1 billion. But if we multiply his money by 10%, it might be $10 billion. You understand what I'm saying? Don't be afraid to put more money into your winners. Cut out of your losers and fuel your winners. Bitcoin was a winner for me. Microsoft, Amazon, all of these were winners for me. So I decided to buy more of them, and then they kept winning. It's kind of like you're at a horse race and you keep betting on the winning horse versus you lost money on a losing horse and then you go bet more money on them to average down. You don't always have to average down into everything. Sometimes you need to average up.
What Keenan is talking about, both Keenan, Larry, Mo, giving very solid advice as he's talking about invest in your winners. Don't babysit your losers. Don't top off your losers. Top off your winners. I love the advice. I want to quickly acknowledge Trading with Ashley. She dropped a very generous $100 super chat. Too generous, Ashley. Greatly appreciate you. She said, to you guys, you are all a blessing to so many. Thank you. Now, I'm going to get into Amazon. We're running a little bit long, but I want to get Amazon in because it's potentially the next big heavy hitter, and I want to talk about what Wall Street is expecting from them. Wall Street wants to see 20% growth year over year. However, that's the expectation. They really want Amazon to beat it. In addition to that, they're expecting $155 billion in revenue, which would actually be a modest 8% year over year. Now, that would be a rise, and it would show that the overall engine is still working, but it is still kind of slowing a little bit. They want to see AWS and their ads. They want to basically see $29.3 billion. They want to get on AWS. They want to get $13.7 billion on their ads. Basically, cloud, it would show that cloud is still king and that the ads are quietly exploding higher. There's obviously a huge tariff risk, and there was some controversy when they were showing the additional tariff costs for imports coming out of China, and they're trying to show people that the concern is real margin getting squeezed right now. So I would say out of all the big tech companies, Amazon does have opportunity here, but they also probably represent some of the larger risk where they're a little bit being doubted more than the rest of big tech because they're dealing with tariffs and actual physical products, a lot of which come from China. So let me take you guys into the chart here in just a minute. They want good Q2 guidance. They could crush it. They could beat expectations. They could nail everything. But this is definitely one where the guidance is going to be king of the earnings. They need to see that they don't see a slowdown or a bigger impact. And to be honest, I don't know how they couldn't kind of give cautious guidance. So it'll be very interesting to see what is said. Also, the other factor is going to be their AI spend. Are they going to continue to spend as aggressively? And that is going to be something I'm going to be watching for sort of the NVIDIA plays down the road, which are ahead of us still. So if they're also raising their CapEx spend, again, it's just another feather in NVIDIA's cap in my eyes. Let's go into the chart, and then we're going to end this show with getting everyone's thoughts on Amazon going into tomorrow. And I appreciate all of these guys. Make sure you check out their page. And I'll just say this, for as many people that are watching, I want some of you guys that are just enjoying the show to take a minute and smash that like for me and just let everybody know that you appreciate the content today. All right, let me get into the chart, and I'm going to tell you guys what I see. Tells a very interesting story. One, we obviously had a massive move here. Let me pull back to 6 hours. Okay, we had a massive aftermarket move. When it looked kind of like we were rolling over, we've obviously shot right back up to the top of the range. Now, I've got a couple areas marked. Now, this 188.29 does not look significant to you guys maybe, but it is huge historical relevance. And the fact that we shot above it tonight would be considered a breakout for Amazon. So getting above this 188.29 was huge. But really, we have to get above, remember what I said about Microsoft and Meta. Here's the previous peaks, and it's not until we get above this 199.77 and obviously this 194.32. These are the levels to beat. So specifically tomorrow morning, if I see this get above 192, that's where I'm going to be taking calls up higher to 194 and looking for an ultimate target of 200. And this thing really is a rocket ship. Now, let me show you this, okay? But here's the thing. It has to beat this level back here. It's got to beat this 194.32. Otherwise, we're making a series of lower highs, which means that we can go on to make lower lows. Now, I'm not predicting that. I'm just warning that this move over the next couple of days has got to get above this previous high. But why would I think that this might happen? Well, we've got something interesting. I'm going to do a little lesson here for everybody on the MACD. And everybody gets to learn the chart if they show up to the Stocks with Josh show. We are doing something significant. We're getting a cross up here on the MACD. We are above the zero line. That is a classic buy signal. But more specifically, when this blue line crossed above with this orange line right here, I'll give you the exact candles. It was this candle, and then it was confirmed with this candle. Those were both buy signals. And sure enough, we're above both of those prices. So in addition to that, we have what's referred to as bullish divergence. Let me go back to the 8-hour chart, okay? What does that look like? Okay, it's a momentum break. So this high back here, which remember I was telling you, this is the most significant high to beat right now. It actually came at a lower momentum move down here. And now momentum is higher, but price is lower. That's called bullish divergence. And what it often means is that this is getting ready to spring and catch up to the momentum, right? So we actually are getting a sneak peek down here with the MACD that there's a potential move higher. Where would that move go to? Well, we got these 3 steps. We've got 194, 200, so 194, 200, and ultimately 208. Now, I'm going to do a trade setup for this in the Stocks with Josh Discord tomorrow, as well as the Stock Squad Discord. I'm going to highlight those targets and those breakout zones. But personally, with the bullish divergence on the MACD, I'm going to say the same thing that I said in my video about Meta and Microsoft. The current technical setup is favoring a follow-through bullish move. The only thing that's going to slap these stocks down right now would be some macro unforeseen news. But I like the setup in the charts. I like that bullish divergence. Let me circle back around. I'm going to get each of your guys' final reactions to Amazon. Are you going to take any risk? What do you guys think of it in light of Meta and Microsoft? Larry, why don't you lead this segment off? What do you think about Amazon going into tomorrow?
To be honest with you, long term, I'm bullish. Short term, I'm just flat because, generally, even on if you look, generally there's a run up going up to, even to do options. You guys know I really don't play options as earnings are concerned. I do the first 5 days leading up to, and I'll do options, and I'm out the day before earnings, right? But what I do like about it is if you I look at the quarterly reports. I go back and I look at their fundamentals, and I do like that quarter over quarter that earnings and net revenue have been increasing. Right now, their thing is AI. And Keenan and I talked about this a while back, that they're spending AI. And I just think that they need to stay there. There is a commercial that's going on, this guy in the car, and then you see this machine delivering a package, and it crashes. We're headed there, just like the Jetsons. I do believe that they're going to really kill it in AI. I do believe that eventually they're going to be creating a fleet of something flying to drop off packages. There's a lot more that Amazon can get into that is AI heavy that they're not into yet. And it's going to cause them to do some partnerships with other companies. I don't know who that is, but I do see them really killing it in the future. This quarter, I'm just not sure of, so I'm just flat on it.
I love it, Larry. Yeah, I do believe that there is more risk right now. And I also agree that there is more of an AI story to unfold with Amazon for sure. And I saw someone said Tesla chart looks weak. I would say that Tesla, I can't tell you, some of these are going to be incredible buy the dip opportunities. Somebody else asked, Josh, what are you talking about these October lows? If we get the scenario to play out the way that I described and we hit 575, and if we reject there, right, some point in the summertime, I'm saying that we could go down 15% from 575. Okay. And for some, we're going to see relative strength. They will not go back to their previous lows. For others, they will make lower lows. That's my current long-term view on the market. But at the moment, I am, as I've been saying, cautiously bullish and cautiously buying. I'm going to get real quick, Mo, your thoughts on Amazon. Is this something that you want to get a little bit more of going into earnings, or do you feel like your bag is full enough? What's your thoughts in conclusion on Amazon?
I'm a long-term holder on Amazon, so I have a significant amount of Amazon right now. So I believe, because everybody was able to preload the inventory before the tariffs, that any effects of a prolonged tariff war would hit them more in Q2 than Q1. So I'm hopeful that tomorrow we'll continue to see the earnings come out positively, and we'll go from there. Hopefully a repeat of what we saw with NVIDIA, Meta, everything rolling up, but you never know. You never know. So I believe we'll see good things. Like I said, consumer spending has been higher than expected. Where do people buy? Amazon. So we'll see if it all matches up. So I'm bullish. Like Larry said, extremely long-term. As with anything, with guidance, they can come out and say something bad about guidance, and that changes everything. So long-term, extremely bullish. Short-term, neutral.
Neutral.
Love it. Keenan, final thoughts on Amazon going into tomorrow's earnings? You're muted, sir.
So far that I see, the all-time high on Amazon is about $242, almost $243. I believe that we will see another all-time high on Amazon, if not in 2025 and 2026. It's really a tariff kind of a thing, which is not going to be forever. Even Donald Trump doesn't believe that tariffs are going to be forever. And if we were to get the next president in a few years, then it would be different again. Politics are very polarizing, and you get exact opposite shifts. So let's say that we give it even 3 years. When we get a new president, for sure, things are going to be really, really different again. And then they might switch all the way back again in 8 years. So I say all of that to say Amazon is one of those companies and one of those stocks that has made the business of being a middleman like we've never seen it in the entire world. There are companies that have things and you want things, and then they get in the middle of it so that they can deliver it to you fast and easy with almost no issue at doing returns. So what I believe in the short term, Amazon is very likely to pop. But in the long term, it's not even very likely to pop. there's no guarantees on the market outside of any crazy macro event. I can see Amazon going absolutely to new all-time highs in 1 to 2 years. But remember, just like Mo said, just like Larry said, just like Josh is basically alluding to, these are earnings. It's really all about forward guidance. That's really what the name of the game is whenever you hear about earnings. It's, hey, we already have an idea of what you may have done. So then we have expectations going into earnings, but we want to hear what you think you can do based on what you know. So if Amazon gives great forward guidance, oh yeah, it's going to be an absolute rocket. But if they give expected forward guidance or less than expected, then it's going to be a buying opportunity for that new all-time high that I personally believe is going to happen again.
You know, I don't think I could have said it any better. I'll just emphasize, out of all of the Magnificent Seven, the one that might have the most direct tariff impact, it's going to be Apple and it's going to be Amazon. So I just want everybody to be mindful of that, that these are the ones that probably could get hit the hardest or might have the hardest time having a huge beat in this earnings. And so I just want you to be aware that even though I believe that the chart leans bullish and we saw a huge sympathy move with Amazon in light that their earnings are tomorrow, more than likely, if I had to share what I will do tomorrow, it's probably put Amazon in my roster of A+ trade setups. Probably would be to take my biggest position on a sympathy run up throughout the day in anticipation of earnings. And I even though some call me the goat, tomorrow I might be the chicken, and I might lock in my profits right before close and carry a single runner to see what I might have got. That's my final view on Amazon. I have to thank these fine gentlemen. I want to remind you guys, if you're not a member of their communities, each of them has their own Discord and provides incredible guidance, live trading, and teaching. Larry right now is teaching people how to start their journey with options in his money moves. Kanan Grace has got KGU University and live trades with the community, and Mo also live trades and teaches. I just want you guys to support them. I appreciate each and every one of you. We've got a combined Discord called the Stock Squad, and you can check it out where you get a little piece of information from each of us. That is going to be in the description of this video. And I thank you guys for joining me. And we made some money today, and I think we're going to make some more money tomorrow. Tomorrow might be a nice trending day because the market has heated back up. The AI story said we can pump higher, but I'll be watching in particular for what I refer to as a rejection play tomorrow, which is the assumption that we will move higher and then we're probably going to hit the roof and have to come back down. So I'll have careful eye on rejection plays tomorrow. Peace and blessings to all of you. I appreciate everyone here that's showed up. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Blessings.